Welcome to the Positively No Gambling Podcast, the pro football show that is definitely not about betting. My name is Glenn Fraser. It's Sunday, August 24th, and this is the 2025 team preview for the New York Giants. So here's how this works. Two big questions from the start of the season, recap 2024, preview 2025, look at some trends, stats, and early leans against the spread based on the look ahead lines, conclude on whether the teams have addressed the two big questions, give out a preliminary over under season total wins pick. The final picks will be part of the conference previews for both the AFC and the NFC. We'll preview all 32 teams, give out a final over under win total that will be posted right before the season kicks off in September. Okay, two big questions for the Giants. Did they improve their offense? I guess we could say enough. And is the QB situation fixed? This tells the entire story of the Giants QB room right now. It is a wild one, and will change greatly between when we're recording this and when the season kicks off, and certainly by midseason. But is the situation in at quarterback addressed in New York? 24 recap, disastrous season, 3-14, last in the NFC East, missed the playoffs, started off kind of tough schedule to start, bad matchups. The Vikings shocked some by winning week one. Week two was that disaster of a game where they didn't even have a kicker, but they kind of contained Washington. They easily could have won that game. And they got a couple of wins against Cleveland and in Seattle. That was a bit of a shocking win. So they were 2-3, but then things just completely fell off a cliff here. And they went 1-11. The one win was against Indy, which really ruined and spoiled their slim playoff hopes. Tough schedule. It was the second most difficult schedule, unlucky schedule. Teams that they expected to not be so difficult proved out to be very difficult. 0-7 against playoff teams, 1-8 in one-score games. Just a season from hell, and it's the Giants. They are very patient. They are a good owner to work for because the coach and the GM are still here. And that puts them in a must-win mode going into 2025. All right. So much to recap in terms of their offseason. They really only lost Daniel Jones and they let him walk last season. So he left for Indy via Minnesota. So really beyond that, no other losses on the offense, which usually is a pretty good sign. Who they added: Russ Wilson, Jackson Dart, who they drafted, Jameis Winston from Cleveland. Drafted Cam Skattebo, who some people like that pick, especially a value pick when they got him. Drafted a backup tight end. And then they made some other rotational type, backup type moves. Blue chippers, I'm going to put Neighbors in there, even though he's only had one season. Had an excellent rookie season. Andrew Thomas, good left tackle. X Factor, Russ Wilson, or whoever ends up being the starter. If it's Dart, I doubt that it's Winston, but it's possible. That's the X Factor. And if you could turn back time with Wilson or unlock something that has long been dormant, or you really got to jam in Jackson Dart, the only way this team is somewhat competitive is through their quarterback. And right now things look pretty rough. Make or break, without a doubt, the head coach, the GM. This is a win or seek further employment type season for Dable and leadership. Defense, this is where I'm not close to the only one, but I like this defense. Let's just look at who they lost. Azeez Aguilari went to Philly. Edge Dory Jackson to Philly. Interesting. The what 90-minute drive down south to Philly. So these two have left for Philly from New York. Jackson Pinnock, safety, San Francisco. Not tremendous losses, and even the losses they more than made up for in the ads. So they have a great pass rush to begin with, but they took Abdul Carter, who is obviously a blue chip prospect, top edge rush prospect, one of the best we've seen in a while. So he's in there along with Kayvon Thibodeau, along with Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. I mean, this is a deadly front seven, maybe the best in football, honestly. Other additions, Javon Holland, that was a splashy signing. They got him from Miami, top safety. Paulson Adebo from New Orleans. I don't know. Maybe he starts. Maybe he's effective. They drafted Corey Black in the draft. That was probably more of a flyer, more of a developmental pick. Beyond that, Chauncey Golston from Dallas, it's at least a name. They look to have a really good pass rush, really good front seven. Dexter Lawrence, still a blue chipper. Brian Burns, I'll put here as a blue chipper. Bobby Okereke, Abdul Carter, Thibodeau, all sort of that next level down slash high ceiling. If Abdul Carter can complement Thibodeau, can complement Burns, this could be a deadly pass rush, one that keeps them in many games and maybe wins games for them if the offense can be something. Make or break again. Dable like has to do something with this squad. Not bad in terms of what this could be, especially on defense, but now the bad news or the potentially frightening news, which is this schedule. Lot of people have commented on this, but this looks like either way you measure it, whether you look at 2024 results or 2025 over-unders, this looks like the most difficult schedule in football because they have to play Philly and Washington twice. They have to play the NFC North, so games against Detroit, games against Minnesota, games against the Packers, and they also have to play the AFC West. So lucky them, they get to host the Chiefs in week 3. They follow that up by hosting the Chargers in week 4. They have to go to Denver. They have to go to Vegas, which people think Vegas is going to be improved. Um, Cowboys never fun. They probably lucked out of good fourth place matchups because they have to play San Francisco, which they won't be favored in that game. They have to play in New England, which that team is expected to be better. Never an easy place to play. So this is a brutal schedule. They are also, I know this Meadowlands aura exists and it's considered a tough place to play and the wind and the turf and all that. But the Giants, I guess, because they're always padded a little bit with their spread, are not that great at covering spreads at home. So that combined with just how many not good teams, but great Super Bowl contending top 5, top 3 teams in football that have to play at home. This could be this could be a true disaster. Uh, we talked about all the playoff teams that they have to play despite finishing last in their division. But that pass rush could have such an edge that they keep them in games and make them competitive. All right, let's look at some of the Barnwell stats. They technically underachieved by a game and a half, but this 4.6 Pythagorean is awful. one of the worst in the league. They were 1-8 in close games, which I guess could reverse, especially now that you might have a competent quarterback in that system. The fumble differential was 0. The win increase was -3. So if they get back to 2023 and then maybe catch a couple of breaks with their schedule, maybe this could be a 7-win team, 6-win team, 8-win team. I don't know. O-line, they were not great. They didn't do a ton to address it, so that could be a big red flag, especially with Russell Wilson, his ability to, or his habit of taking sacks. Their pass rush is tremendous, and their run stop. So this front seven is one of the better looking ones in the league. In terms of early leans against the spread, I only came up with one, and it is week 1, and it's not a typo. I do like them week 1 at Washington to cover. Right now it's 7. You could probably get that at 7.5 or 8, maybe even 8.5 by the time you get a lot of volume on here. So I would suggest waiting here. But I like them week 1. I'm going to take them week 1. They could shock the world. I wouldn't throw the Commanders on any sort of survivor pick week 1 just because they played them tough last year. Weird things happen week 1. I just got a hunch with that one. But beyond that, I didn't find anything else. They're listed as a underdog right now in the look ahead lines in 15 of the 16 games. They're only favored in New Orleans, which we just touched on New Orleans. That's even debatable. Yes, there's talent here. Good pass rush. Malik Nabers, deep threat. Maybe they have something going on with Russell Wilson and Nabers. Maybe the pass rush is so good that it is borderlines on dominant. They're a fun dog, maybe at the beginning of the season, but they're also a candidate for the wheels absolutely falling off. The coach leaving, the GM leaving. Even though they drafted a quarterback early this year, they'd be a candidate for a quarterback in next year's draft. They're certainly on my list for that. And with that being said, I don't think that they've addressed quarterback. I don't think that they've improved the offense enough. I'm not. I think the defense and the decisions made in the offseason were just baffling to me. It's a very low under. I could maybe find a win or two more to bring this to an over. But right now, boy, I actually have them as a solid under. This could be the worst team in the league. This could be worse than the Saints. Just from a schedule perspective, it's really, really tough. Yeah, and that's really it. Again, they might be a good underdog candidate, but we'll get into those more when we're picking week to week. Don't be surprised if I bet them on week 1, but that doesn't mean anything for the full season. So I'm going to go under 5.5 wins here. And that wraps up the Giants. So we'll talk tomorrow about the other New York team, the Jets, who are in a very similar situation to the Giants. Bye bye.